If you want to flood your screen with comments like this is the build for you. And as an added bonus, if you watched my previous video, you're already 95% there. So just a couple of changes and you're going to match this build. So what I did was to take the concept of that death by 100 comets video, more than double the comets per cast, surprisingly made the mana management better, increased the defensives in some areas, and more importantly, I will show you a 4 gem socket setup so that those new players that are following this build don't need to have 5 socketed gems because that can be a little expensive. And the reason why I built this specific video is there was an overwhelming number of comments in the previous video saying that they struggle with breaches and rituals specifically. So this is the solution to that problem. Just a recap of how this build works. You basically cast your fireballs, spawn the raging spirits, they die, and you cast your comets. Similar to the previous video, let's look at the gear that you need for this specific build, starting with the most important item in this build. So the most important part is still the Fire Flower Solar Amulet. So in the patch 0.1.1, they did fix a bug where it doesn't ignite enemies for this specific amulet. So if you are using the previous build, that actually has been improved. So you have your Fire Flower Amulet here. This is the most important part of the build. Take the third line that says, take 100 fire damage when you ignite an enemy, and repair that with this specific passive with the Necromantic Talisman, which says all bonuses from the equipped amulet applies to your minions instead. So basically, when you cast your fireballs, along with this, your raging spirits come in contact with enemies, they take damage, and they basically die, making your comets spawn. Basically, that's the concept of it. The one thing that I did change from the previous build is this helmet right here, which it states that you can use 2 copies of the same support gem in different skills right here. That second line over here when you press Alt. But the downside is the equipment and skill gems have 21 increased attribute requirements. So when you are looking in the trade market for this specific item, try to get the lowest possible increased attribute requirement. That's the main stat that you're looking for. So, because the lowest that I've seen is like 20. So get it to as close to 20 as possible, because that will help you in terms of actually being able to use this build. This is the Rattling Scepter. The one thing that you're looking for here is the increased spirit. You want as high of a spirit as possible, and you also want some mana and mana regeneration. For your wand, any wand will work. You're looking for spell damage, increased spell damage, mana, plus level to all skills, and mana regeneration. For your robe, the stat that you're looking for here is spirits again. If you can, in this one, if you can, in all of your armor sets, try to get as many stats as possible. The stat that I have here is plus 18 to intelligence. If you can get higher, that is going to help you manage all of the stat requirements that you need, because this increases that attribute requirement. So get as high as possible for added attributes for here, spirits, attribute, and your resistances for this one as well. And try to get the maximum energy shield as well. Just a little bit more will be better. And of course, the mana regeneration on this specific robe. For everything else, it's the same. So you're looking for mana, life, some energy shield, resistances, and an attribute. So I have an attribute here that says plus 30. That helps a lot with the management of the attributes that we need for this specific build. For this one as well, you need mana, life, resistances. I don't have an attribute here, but for your boots, you need your movement speed, mana, life, resistances, and again, an attribute. So it's pretty much the same for all of the other ones. For your rings, you're looking for mana, resistances, and mana regeneration specifically. So I have this there, and this one as well, mana, resistances, mana regeneration, and if you can, get an attribute on this as well. So that's pretty much it for the gear. It's pretty straightforward. As I said, if you watched the previous video, 95%, you're already there. Now let's move on to your gems, the gems that you need for this specific build. The first one is the Fireball. The Fireball, try to get it as low as possible. I have received some comments saying they can't get it to level 9 and they say it's level 12 here. It's because I have plus to all spells. Now, I've tested some. It doesn't really matter much if you have like a higher Fireball skill here. It does give you a little bit more advantage if you have a lower, because it doesn't break the ice crystals during the boss battle. But if you have a higher level gem equipped already, don't fuss about it. Use the one that you have. But as much as possible, if you want to min-max this build, try to get it to level 9 or as low as possible as you can get. For your support gems, it's the Scatter Shot. You have your Unleash, Ricochet, and Arcane Tempo. Now let's look at the cast on minion death, and this is fairly important. You have here a level 18 cast on minion death. That is important because the intelligence required for this one is 178. And as you can see, I do have 224, but because this is a thing and it requires more, I can't actually add a level 19 in that specific slot. So max right now for my specific intelligence is 18. So if you are copying this specific build, just be mindful that you may need to lower some of the skills that you need to equip for this one. For both of these, actually, we are going to go with a Comet, your energy retention, the spell echo, and impetus, plus the spell cascade. Now, if you only have 4 slots for this one, you can just take out energy retention, keep the rest of the slots abilities, just take this 2 out. So this is the same. You have spell echo, spell cascade, spell cascade. This is because you can use 2 copies of the same support gem in different skills. So this is what makes it flood your screen with a bunch of comets. So 2 of the same cast on minion death with comets, and it's just glorious. We do have a 3rd cast on minion death. This is for bossing, so I'll explain it a little bit later. For our defensives, we are going to use Grim Feast with the cannibalism. So this one recovers 4% of your life on kill while supported skill is active. So when you are looking for jewels, this is actually going to save you a lot of currency, a lot of exalts, and probably divines. So you don't need to get percentage life on kill on specific gems. This is where the majority of the damage is going to come from. This is your Archmage. Again, be mindful of the levels that you need. This basically gives you 8% extra damage as lightning damage for each 100 maximum mana that you have. For this one, you add your Lightning Mastery and your Clarity. Now, I did try to add one more Clarity over here in Grim Feast, but it doesn't seem to have the same effect because we can use 2 copies of the same support gem. So I was hoping to get more mana regeneration rate while having 2 at the same time. Doesn't seem to work, so might be worth checking that out a little bit later. Next is the Raging Spirits, and again, try to get this as low as possible, which is level 4. If you already upgraded your Raging Spirits to a higher level and you want to get something lower, you can always just look for one in the marketplace. Look for level 4. It'll cost you 5 exalts. I don't get these. 1 or 5 exalts, and you get your level 4 Raging Spirits. For this one, this is pretty important. The Infernal Legion. This is basically what kills your minions. You have your Fire Exposure as well, the Feeding Frenzy, and the Minion Instability. Next one is the Flame Wall, which basically is the get out of jail card here. You don't need this if you don't want to have this, but this has just saved me so many times, especially when I get swarmed just a little too fast. We have here the Arcane Tempo and the Mobility, and this is what has saved me in the past, where when you get swarmed, you basically spam your Flame Wall, and as soon as, again, the concept of this video is the Raging Spirit touches your enemy, it casts all of your comets, and at the same time, when you do get stunned while casting your Flame Wall, your energy shield starts to recharge immediately and will not be interrupted by damage for the next 2 seconds. So you do have that extra defensive right there. For your last skill, you have Conductivity with Focused Curse and Heightened Curse as well. For when you're bossing, you basically just get rid of this, deactivate Grim Feast, activate your third cast and Minion Death, and get your concentrated effect, put it over your Spell Cascade, both of them, just like that, and you're ready to boss. For your third cast and Minion Death, you want your Frost Wall, Glacier, Fortress, and Lightning Exposure. That's pretty much it. The reason why you want this to be in a circle is because it helps trap those Raging Spirits inside the boss, which, again, the concept is get your Raging Spirits near an enemy, they die, you cast all of your Comets. So basically it. That's the reason why you want your Fireball as low as possible, so that it doesn't break the crystals while you are bossing. So that's pretty much for the gems. Let's look at the passives that you need for this specific build. Let's start off with this Ascendancy. Just get this left side over here. If you only have 4, just get the Constant Gale and your Force of Will, and you are good. If you do have all of your Ascendancy points, just get all the top of here as well. Okay, that's pretty much it. For your passives, you want to get this specific tree. You want this raw power over here with Open Mind for your mana regeneration. Just going up, get these nodes here as well. This gives you more mana, more energy shield. You also want this wheel over here. Just get this, increase intelligence, which helps with your mana, increase energy shield there as well. You want to get this critical overload because this pretty much revolves around getting crit on your cast on Minion Death on your Comets. Moving on up, you want to get this. This is very, very, very important. If you don't have this, this build will not work. Like, get your Necromantic Talisman. You also want to get this as an extra defensive. It also gives you 3% more life, mana, and energy shield, which is nice. This prevents you from getting stunned continuously, which is, again, pretty good. Although when you do get stunned, you do have your Flame Wall. I did extend this one to get this specific jewel socket here. You also have your jewel socket. We'll talk about the jewel sockets a little bit later. You also have your energy shield because this is your main defensive here. It also increases your mana, which helps with your Archmage. You also get this additional resistance and elemental damage, which is pretty good. And you basically get most of this. This is your mana regeneration. This increases your mana while you're moving. This increases your spell damage per 100 mana. So kind of similar to the Archmage, but it's not an extra. This also increased your mana with the mana cost increase as well. That's a really good trade-off. You also want to get this intelligence over here because you do need more intelligence to equip higher level cast on Minion Death and all of the other skills because your helmet requires more attributes. I also want to get this Patent Barrier with more energy shield. Again, another jewel. You want to get this entire part over here, which increases your spell damage for Comets and recovers 3% of your mana as well when you do trigger those spells. This has 25% chance for trigger skills to refund half of their energy, which just makes it really, really good. This is your main source of crit chance. This gets you 70% crit chance over here by just this 3 nodes right there. This is also another defensive, the Lucidity. It gives you another 15% intelligence, again, very important. And it takes 8% of damage taken from mana before life, which totals to 16 over there. This as well is pretty important to me. I do not like getting frozen, especially by fast mobs, fast enemies. You don't want to just get frozen, swarmed, and just die. So this pretty much prevents you from getting frozen, essentially, except for bosses. You also want to get this half right here, which increases your spell damage. If you have extra, I do actually recommend getting these meta skill gains, which increases the energy gain by your meta skills. Going down over here, you want your critical bonus damages, plus 10 intelligence again. Although I will look to change this because it is in an awkward position. But for now, this actually helps a lot because you do deal a lot more damage when you crit. Again, crit chance here, plus 70% to your existing one. So relatively high in terms of the crit chance. And you do have your jewels here as well. So for when you are trying to build this, I would recommend first, obviously, just getting this part right here is pretty important early on. Obviously, try to get to this as fast as you possibly can, and try to get this as well. So you want to go up here, get this, get that, and get this. And then your additional ones will be these, and this. So you basically follow the tree right here. This one's to the left, I would say, is like an additional. Yes, you do need that elemental resistance, pretty good. Do need that energy shield plus 4% increased mana, great. But I would prioritize more to the right rather than to the left, except for this. For the jewels, what you really want to get here is the meta skill gain increased energy. That's pretty important. It's really good to have your percent of mana on kill. So 2% mana on kill is pretty good. You also want to get spell damage or some elemental damage. I do have the recover 1% of life on kill here. I could have gotten something else. This is a less than ideal jewel and most likely going to change. And it also helps if you have the increased maximum energy shield, again, along with your spell damage, elemental damage, or trigger damage, and meta skills gain energy stat. So that's pretty much it. And that is it for the entire build. If you do have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and I will answer them as fast as I possibly can. I hope this video guides you in your journey in Path of Exile to just flood your screen with comments. I've been enjoying this way too much, I would say, and enjoy the map showcase. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
At the eve of the end, the demon of Azzoatl has finally come for me.
I can't give up. I must save my people. No, I will succeed. I cannot allow you to interfere.
I'm not impressed.
No! You are within my grasp. Nothing will stand in my way!